But first, talk a little about yesterday. I thought I had a good afternoon slate, a good morning. I thought I did well. I tripled my money. I finished 20 something in the big one, and with a couple zeros as we were just referring to. It was we got a lot of things right yesterday, and it felt good. But Sheets with the big win. Sheets, talk a little bit about it, and if you have it available, it'd be great to see your screen. And I know people, and I just want to, before Sheets goes on, I want to jump in. I know people keep asking for, like, in our Discord, give us your process, Sheets, give us your process. Sheets is giving out his process every single day. More than anybody on any other site is talking about exactly what he does, how he does it, how he uses SaberSim to do his multi-entry builds. And we talk through it. Because a guy like Tommy Henry may not be a priority for him, and he plays him in a lottery, that doesn't mean anything. That's a part of how he's talking about it. So I do want to just remind people that if you really pay attention, Sheets is talking about his process on a daily basis and how he's doing things, especially on our live before lock
Dude,
stuff.
not even that. I mean, not to say whatever, but I'm literally like doing it and showing the screen like as
Right.
I'm doing it, literally on the spot. Okay, so I don't know what else I can actually do. Like, so I'll show you. Okay, so I'll show you the lineup, but let's show you the build. I mean, because this is exactly what we did,
Mm-hmm.
and I showed everybody this. So. This was the build. So I had 67% San Diego, and then 30% Washington, 22% Oakland. And then as far as the pitchers goes, I had 45% Snell, 42% Nola, 30% Henry, and then kind of sprinkles throughout. I had 20% Walter, and he got blitzed. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
this was kind of like what the build looked like, and I showed everybody this right off the bat. And then I just kind of then what I did was, after I built the lineups, I set it to min unique 2. That was one change I made,
Mm-hmm.
which I didn't really even need.
Right.
And then one other thing I did was that after the 130 games, there was a couple of guys that were scratched from the San Francisco San Diego game, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So I did have to switch something, but I don't think
They weren't scratched. They just hadn't released the lineups yet.
Oh, okay.
They remained lower owned than they should have been.
Okay, yeah. So I made one switch, and I used the SaberSim thing to do that, and that was just pretty much it. And this is what kind of looks like. Here are like the secondary like things. Like this one.
Yeah, those things were awesome too.
These were like second and third, 8th, 10th. One of these was the 555. Oh, this is the one with the Chavis with the 0. That's right. Chavis with 0. Garrett with 0, Thomas with 0.
Yep.
And then listen, and it's like, now I know what it feels like to be one of those 150 guys. Not because I played 150, because I didn't. I played 40, right. But I had 67% of them in San Diego stacks.
Right.
When San Diego's up 10-0, I mean, I got some combinations. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I wasn't gonna get screwed. And this was the one that happened, to be the one to get it all, And this one had the 10 points from Jimenez. That just was probably, I mean, it was more than enough. I mean, if we look through the actual contest, I mean, if you look down the list here, I'm won by a full 8 points, and I had everybody pretty covered. You know what I mean? Like everybody else, everybody else had the same guys I had going. Like when it was 10-0 in the 6th, I hated to like curse myself, but I'm like, there was really nobody that was coming.
Right.
And the few people that had guys, like you look at this, like I had Snell, but there were other guys that did, like this guy, like BK Ryder, who I was sort of afraid he didn't even have Snell, and I had a free 4 points coming to me.
Right.
Not to mention probably another inning or so. And this guy with the Ryan Sears, was pretty good, but he had the same guys I had. This is the only guy that I was sort of even sweating was this B Johnson guy, just because it was the only guy I didn't have. Right. He went 0 for, I don't even think he touched the ball like the whole game.
Right.
So as opposed to like some lotteries where you just, you feel like surrounded and you feel like you have no chance even though you're doing well. This one I was on the golf course in Matt. It was like the 7th inning, and I'm like, I really think I'm gonna win. And then when I saw these substitute guys I had, like this one, like just in case, like for example, this one didn't have Grisham in it, the one that won. But this one that was 8 had Grisham. So in case Grisham comes up and hits some random home run or something, like I got that one too, it was all, again, you unfortunate, this is just what baseball is, man. You just play process and you just lose a lot.
That's what I always tell everybody is that you
until hopefully you don't, and that's just kind of it.
right.
And to throw this out there for people again, I feel bad. I was so psyched. I posted on State Kings like as soon as I went in there. Ooh, look at this! We won the lottery. We won this, and then went back and looked, and not a single person bought a single share of this tournament.
That's crazy. Yeah,
people buy like all my shit like literally every day, and
Yeah.
for whatever reason, some random afternoon slate on a Thursday.
Random afternoon slate on a Thursday during the WSOP, which is what a lot of people are betting on right now.
WSOP, with the. And I've been struggling the last week or two too. I mean, like, why do I want to bet on sheets on a stupid random Thursday? Got to get in there, man. That's what you got because that's the thing. Like you play, you have good process. With any luck, it just hits every once in a while, and that was just it. Like, I'd love to say I had a particular take that, and it was funny to get Gary Sanchez, who I was cursing the night before, put up 26 with no pinch hit risk on this occasion. So there you go.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it was. I'm glad you like a great win. Really thrilled to see it. Of course, it's nice to get on that track, especially like you said. You go through it feeling like a little bit impossible, and that's just the way it goes. I mean, actually, I felt like that in poker tournaments at times too, where there was just like you run bad for a month or run well below average, and you just get it bad, in the wrong spots, and you just feel like God, I'm never going to win again, and then all of a sudden you table 4 tournaments in a row.
Let me talk one other thing about process. I think it's really important for everybody if you want to figure out how to do this. If you have listen, everybody. I won't say everybody, but most people work. Most people have other stuff going on or whatever. And most people, they have like a time allocation issue. They want to know how much, where to allocate their time. You really need, in my opinion, to get in there with either of our live streams. Okay. Specifically the ones where Bobby is, because like when we go through it, like you hear me kind of struggling and I ask Bobby what he thinks about certain plays. And again, I'm mostly just feed off the projections, right? That's how I start off with. But when I mention a guy, like yesterday, I said, I'm really thinking of playing like a whole bunch of this Walter guy. And you're like, why? You know what I mean? Like even something as stupid, as pedestrian as that, it changed my whole thing. And my original like lineups, I was going to have more of like Jay Irvin, you know what I mean? Like guys like that. And you're like, well, why do you need that? I'm like, okay, you know what? Screw it. I'll play more Nola Snell, and even you were like, when I first looked at Snell, I'm like 10-1 for Snell. And you're like, yeah, you know what? I think 10-1 for Snell, So the point is not that like you're always right or I'm always right, but you get that live, you go to the live stream and you hear us kind of banding about ideas and kind of sift through the like the projection piece, because it's not just about that. And sometimes a projection will look good, but when you have like you actually bounce it off of like Bobby, that's actually good like baseball common sense. You're like, you really want to play like 70%, I don't even know the name of the guy, whoever it would be. So I think it's important that everybody at least come from one of the live streams.
Yeah, I agree with that. If you can, that's definitely where we do the most. And also, I thought it was really, it's just great to have you back on top again, and then hopefully we can carry that over, or maybe we can both win one tonight, or something like that. Spread it out a little bit. Maybe some of the users can win something tonight. Let's get into the slate. It's a big one.
Yep, and I gotta leave in like 45 minutes. And just to get everybody a reminder, I have the live final thing tomorrow. I'll post the lineup when that comes in, and the difference between 10,000 and 250,000 is a lot.
Yep.
Fortunately, I have a nice big hit from freaking yesterday to make me feel better regardless of what happens. Mm-hmm. But the one thing about today, by the way, I guess we'll get into it. There's a lot of freaking rain.
It's one of those.
There's a lot of weather. I mean, starting with here, it's not looking great around here either. Not that it's like a red or anything like that, but everybody's got to really watch the weather tonight. That's my first overall comment.
Yep, agreed. That's something we're gonna have to talk about as we go through these games. And
I'm sharing my screen, right?
Yeah, we got your screen. So we'll talk about this. So Seattle Baltimore, which is one of those games, and actually it's kind of hard to know right now where this game is gonna end up, because it does seem like it's one of those that's going to be like you have some pretty consistent stuff. And I don't know. I mean, personally in this game, I'm not like all that excited to play the hitting in it. And I'm not overly excited about the pitching. So I feel like there's like a lot of plays that are borderline for me. And I just feel like I'll pass on it if it's even questionable, because I kind of probably want to pass on it anyway.
Yeah, I'm not getting to either of the pitchers in this game, even with weather. and I'm not getting to either of the. See the way the hitting's working for me. There's like a couple of real standouts, and again, I didn't look for that long. So I am looking. So I presume that some of that we're going to be looking for pivots off of that. So let me just look real quick to see how Baltimore even qualify. Not really. I mean, I'm inclined to just kind of pass on this game.
Yeah, if you want to get frisky, Logan Gilbert, we've seen Baltimore give up some big games to righties this season, but that would be probably it for me. All right, next up we have Texas and your Yankees. So we've got the weather there. So that's another one of the ones. And and actually in New York, it seems like it may potentially be worse even.
That's what I just said. I mean, I look out here and it's light rain now. I didn't look at the raw thing for today. I just looked real quickly like an hour ago. I didn't see anything in this whole slate was orange red, but there was enough to kind of like require that you go back at 6 and look again. Let's put it that way.
Right.
It's kind of a good because I'm kind of off of this game anyway, I think.
Yeah, I feel fairly similarly. I actually think you could make an argument for the pitchers, but I don't think I would really want to do that. And I think that if you wanted to get, frisky, I think that playing Texas is kind of interesting, but I don't think it's necessary. And again, I kind of like this, that early on, we both don't like the rain games at least too much. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's a lot more frustrating when that's all your focus, but we do have more to get into it. But yeah, I can pass over that game and not feel too bad like I'm missing out on much. What are your thoughts on the New York and Philly game?
I actually have now. Again, I think this is one of the.
This might be the worst one, man.
Yeah, might be the worst one, which is a little bit annoying because
I
actually don't mind. I mean, really, either side here as like a low-owned pivot as far as the hitting goes. I would take if I get an all clear as far as weather goes. I mean, there's like two looks like super duper chalk spots as far as hitting goes. So if I can find a good low-owned pivot, I'll take it. So if I get an all clear on Philly or the Mets, on the Philly Met game, I might pick either Philly or the Mets to be my hitters.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
But you like the pitchers more?
No. It's a great hitting environment if it goes. It's 90% humidity. It's 75 degrees out. Winds blowing out to center, 8 miles an hour. I think it is a spot. I don't think these are like in general, like I don't like saying as a guy I would love to stack against on a small slate. Taijuan Walker has been like awesome his last 3 starts. He's given up like literally like a few.
Oh my God, look at this.
Yeah. And I don't know that like, and the Mets don't have an offense that I feel like confident enough. Well, they haven't proven to be confident. I mean, like for us to be confident in them, even though they should be good, to where I really love stacking them. So I'm actually okay with not really going after this game on every level. I actually think that both pitchers, if the weather wasn't such good weather for hitting, I would have probably considered like at least a deep dive or something on them. Probably not going to do that, but it is worth noting that Taijuan Walker has been really good. There will be the people who play him today are going to be just complete chasing that. And it's not going to be enough of them to where it's going to scare you off. So he's one to consider. I don't know. I think I'd rather find other stuff elsewhere. So we're moving right through it, man.
Well, in fairness, by the way, I mean, Walker's last 3 starts were against teams that are easy to do well against, that being Oakland, Detroit, and the Dodgers.
The Dodgers, right. Who would have thought we'd be saying that about the Dodgers?
Against the Mets in his last start, he did not do that well. It's not like he got lit up or anything, but he just didn't do very well.
Former team. It's something where I wouldn't. I guess you could consider the stacking of the Mets, but I just think that there's other spots to attack, and again, we have the weather to worry about anyway. So
starting with chalk team number 1, which would be Toronto here. So. And that's not even the top chalk, but I have Toronto as well clear second. No, there's another team kind of fighting. So Toronto is one of the teams that I'm interested in today, both from pitching and from hitting. I do like Bassett. I don't have him as my top play, but I have him as really close to number 2. So I do like Bassett, and I do like Toronto.
Well, it's the former teams day. It's the day where everybody's facing their former teams. So you have Bassett against the A's here, who I think is totally in play, and is the first pitcher we've talked about that I actually will consider rostering. I also think that it wouldn't bother me, as I always say about this. Like, I just think that in the long run, you're not going to be hurting too much if you get these 2- and 3-man A's stacks. Just for the simple fact that if you play Ruiz, if he gets on, you're going to get double-digit points most likely. If you play Laureano, probably a similar deal if he gets on. The problem is he gets on a lot less, but he does have some power, and they're so cheap. I don't think I would I'm not saying to play them. I'm saying that if you wanted to get different with a Toronto stack, maybe go with a game stack and consider a 2 or 3 from Oakland. That's the most I would probably go from Oakland. But I do like the Bassett idea, and I have Toronto right at the top. I do think the ownership is going to sway towards them because especially if some of these games get delayed or people just get nervous about playing them. And the early projections, Goldie's early projections don't have them as owned as I would have thought, but that's partly because of the size of the slate. And honestly, Toronto's affordable. I can definitely get myself. Toronto is probably going to be one of maybe my favorite stack on the slate. As of right now, I would say they're probably
next site meeting if we have one.
We just had one the other day. What do you need?
I really wanted to look into if Goldie has time to do something where we either report internally or to everybody. Like the ownership results. Listen, I don't care about how close the projections are because projections, whatever. But the ownership projections I do care about, and I'd like to know first of all which are closer, him or mine for openers. We're just always trying to improve, and I want to see how close they are in general. So I think he's probably he's good enough with the technology, and maybe we'll have Evan work on it when he has more time.
Yeah.
And I think it's something worth doing.
Yeah, we've talked about it just a little bit on the back burner compared to the development of all the tools, the projections for every sport, which is the part.
No, I know. I'm just thinking greedily from a greedy for me. I would like to know so that I could play better.
Absolutely. No, I think that's a really good point. All right, so we got the Bassett out of the way. Next
who do we like for Toronto? I like Varsho, I guess. I'm just looking at guys that look cheap. Varsho. Spring. Who's else cheap? Belt to be the two guys. Belt.
And you get eligibility, so you can actually play Belt in the same lineup as Vlad.
And then the good guys, right? But Belt and Varsho would be the two. Cheap.
Yeah, Varsho just has really struggled, but I do like him tonight though too.
We got Bichetta's day to day.
Yep.
We got to watch
whether Bichette plays or not. It's not going to change my opinion a ton on it. It's a little bit of a knockdown to their stack, but I still am going to love them, and they'll have some more cheapness in there. They'll probably make them more stackable, unfortunately, and more popular.
Okay.
Because you'll have some cheap guys. All right, let's talk about the Cleveland and Milwaukee game. Bieber. Okay, man. I have been trying to figure this out. What's up with the strikeouts? What's up with the strikeouts? We did have the one really, good game a couple of starts back, but it hasn't hit double digits this year, which he used to just be. And again, as these guys get older and better, they stop with the Strider stuff because it's annoying to pitch 4 or 5 innings, have 11 Ks, and not even qualify for a win. You know what I mean? Right. And that's what we've been seeing from those guys. And for me personally here, I do like Bieber in this matchup. This is a team that I like taking against. It looks like bad hitting conditions, also a little bit of rain risk, so that's something else to keep an eye on. I actually think that the Bieber against Brewers is a pretty good idea, and we've known for years now the Brewers are very attackable. Even when they were hitting, they just have strikeouts in their lineup. They've got a lot of weak spots towards the bottom of their lineup. We'll see how it shakes out today, because they sort of release different lineups every day. But as of right now, I have Bieber as one of the. Bieber and Bassett is an interesting conversation for me. I have them very close right now, which feels weird to say out loud.
We're in agreement, man. I like Bieber as well. Not at the top, but the guy I like at the top is going to be 80% owned, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But I do like Bieber as a secondary pitcher, and I'm not getting to any of the hitting.
Yep. Okay, well, let's next up we have Boston and Chicago. Start us off here with this one.
Yeah, I think both these pitchers are really good tournament plays. Giolito is going to be tough for people to play at 9,600, but as you well know, he has ceiling. He always does. And I think he's going to. I presume he's going to be low owned. I don't know. So I do like that. And then on the other side, I mean, listen, we play all kinds of pitchers against freaking the White Sox, against the righties. I'm seeing like no projection on Bello. Like he's like doesn't even exist. So I'm like presuming when I say doesn't even exist, I just have terrible numbers for him. Don't exactly know why that would impact his ability to put in one good game uh, at, against the White Sox. So I kind of like him as a tournament play. So I like both these pitchers as tournament plays. They're not the greatest projection plays, but I do like them both in GPPs.
Yeah, again, it's weird. We're kind of totally in lockstep right now. I agree. I think Bello is a little bit of a reach, but because of that, like to get no ownership on him, I think is kind of interesting.
Yep.
And then Giolito is an interesting pivot off of the other guys we just mentioned, Bassett and Bieber. And I think both are viable. I probably end up on the more less on that side than more on it. If I was going to play hitters in this game, I'd prefer the lefties. 76 degrees in Chicago with only 6 miles an hour wind and blowing in from left, but it is indirectly from left. So I would prefer the lefties if you had to choose them. Obviously, Dever is always a really good play, but I don't think I'm going to be doing much with the stacking of either of these teams. And I think both pitchers are fringy, but both Giolito especially. But both pitchers have the upside to really pay it off. And then we get to the chalk game, right?
Well, let's talk about this for a second. So I mentioned this the other day. I said, has anybody ever been 6,700 yet? And you said, I didn't think so. And I'm seeing Ohtani at 6,700 in this game. And Trout is 6,500. And these guys definitely project to have the most raw points, like the Angels of anybody. They're in Colorado. But I know that you like to say that sometimes salary really doesn't matter so much of the hitting, but at some point it just has to matter.
Not when you have the entire bottom. You have 5 hitters in your lineup that are 2.4K or 2.5.
No, that's true. Okay. Yeah. But like, for example, like if you end up playing like Ohtani as like a one-off, for example, I just think that's really poor. I don't know. Like he has to have. I don't know. Anyway, the Angels team it projects. They're in Colorado and they're projecting to have the most points and they project to have the most ownership and all that stuff. And depending on who else is in there, you get like what's Renique Foe? I mean, for example, he's probably pretty cheap. I don't even know who's playing, but I'm sure wherever it is. Well, Jury's not too cheap. Renfroe, where's Renique? Renique for 2,900. I mean, that's kind of obscene. But as we've said, Freeland, Freeland has tricks. He pitches in Colorado for a living. Just when you think it's like it's so easy to get to him, he'll put up sort of a game. And yeah, okay, give Trout a home run. You know what I mean? Like give both of them, or give Ohtani a home run and give Trout a home run. But they're still going to be 100% owned. And I don't know. I just got better things to do with my life than play the Angels with the pitchers I want to play. Like the only thing I will play if I play the Angels, that's when I'll play like a
Giolito or
Giolito. You know what I mean? Like together, something like that. But aside from that, you just can't play. You can't play the Angels like at 100% ownership here. I don't think.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Ken.
We are so dead.
I know we're totally dead today. I have zero interest in the Angels as of right now. But for somewhat different reasons, I just want to point out about Kyle Freeland this year. I think he's made 6 starts at home. No, more than that. He's made 8 starts, I believe. Maybe 7 or 8 starts at home. He's basically given up 4 home runs in 42 innings. He's actually been a reasonable fantasy point producer. He is much better at home than he is on the road, which is really weird because he pitches in Colorado. I mean, like way, way, way better. And it's been like this in the past at times. 2 home runs in 42 innings, 11 walks in 42 innings, which isn't great, but it's, again, for a Coors game, like this is not like a automatic. I'm going to assume the Angels, who, by the way, I just watched score 0 runs in a series against the Dodgers. But I don't mean that as an exaggeration. I mean literally 0 runs. What is interesting to me is that a guy like Sandoval, who I actually played, I think that this is the type of time where maybe you could stack Colorado against him. He throws a lot of breaking stuff, and it's just not going to work as well. The problem is you have 2 lefties, and what we didn't talk about is that it's great hitting weather and that it's 82 degrees. What's not great is 12-mile-an-hour winds coming in from left field, which sort of negates almost the edge you're getting in terms of home runs, because you want the home runs against these lefties. So it's going to make it a little bit harder to hit a home run. That's basically all that it is. Can you get there anyway? Do you need more than 2 home runs? But, you can make a lot of cases about all that stuff. All this to say that if I wanted to play bats in this game, I would want to play lefties, but there aren't going to be hardly any lefties in this game. So I think it's a cross-off, except for that I think Colorado, if the wind changes at all or does anything, Colorado as a low-owned stack I think is very appealing to me. So I'll just throw that out there.
The guy, by the way, as we get to this next game, that was scratched. I had to redo the lineups was Bogarts actually, for San Diego. That's why I had to redo my lineups for yesterday because Bogarts was out.
Yeah.
Okay. So Washington's at San Diego in the next game. So you have Corbin against San Diego, and let's talk a little recency bias. Okay. So I just made a fortune with San Diego. So what would the exact same lineup look like today? Like just for funsies. Okay. If you played, well, you don't get to. There's no Bogarts was not in. So let's cross him off for a minute. So let's put the exact same lineup in of Sanchez, Cruz, Machado, Tatis, and I played Kim yesterday, right? What position does he play? He's second base. So if you play him, and you know what else I played yesterday? I played the San Diego pitcher. That would be Snell. So let's at chalk. So how about we do the same thing? How about we play Musgrove, who's going to be 1,000,000% owned, I think, and the same 5 guys from San Diego, and see what that does. Now, it's certainly going to be, I think, higher owned because people like to go after Corbin, but it looks good to me. Now, again, I know Corbin has actually been pretty tough to get to, if you want to know the truth.
He hasn't really been giving up. He's giving
up 4 runs, 2
runs,
runs, 4 runs, 2 runs, 3 runs, 3 runs, 6, whatever. He's got 6 runs there, but I don't know. This looks good to me. And now with Bogarts back in the lineup, okay, let's do a 6-man stack. We'll put Bogarts in too, just for the hell of it. And obviously you can't do that, but I can't imagine this not being. I think Toronto and San Diego are the 2 total natural pivots off of the Angels. So I don't think this is going to be particularly earth-shattering to play with these guys. But all I'll say is Nelson Cruz is 2,400, righty lefty against Corbin. I'll probably end up taking my chances. So that's where I am now. Again, like you said, Washington doesn't strike out too much, so don't be shocked if you play Musgrove and he ends up with 16, 17 fantasy points and get the win, whatever. But it looks pretty good.
Yeah, the problem with the Musgrove thing is just the lack of strikeouts, as you mentioned. Like they just don't strike out, and they get a lot of hits. They get a lot of hits, and there are a lot of singles. I do like Musgrove as an option. I think that if I had to take a pick, I would play Bassett or Bieber over him. But it's hard it's in my head hard for me to get over. I'm trying to get my head around this Bieber strikeout thing because I just don't believe it's going to go on forever. All right. Anyway, but so here's my issue with this. This is a huge, this is actually a downgrade playing in San Diego than it was playing in San Francisco yesterday because 64 degrees and you have, 10-mile-an-hour winds blowing directly in from left when you're facing a lefty, which means your guys are going to be righties.
Yep.
It doesn't mean you can't get there. It just means that it's a little bit harder.
Absolutely.
So I have San Diego. I'd be more interested in some sort of a mini situation or something. I don't think they're going to be crazy. They'll have some ownership. I think, like you said, sort of similar-ish to Toronto. I think I'd prefer Toronto.
I think so.
I think that they're definitely a legitimate pivot. And I don't know. Personally, I'll probably do something else just because I don't like. Look, you're trying to play for max upside on the big slates, and in order to do that, you need a couple home runs. You see, 2 balls get caught at the warning track when there's 2 runners on base, and you go from having a monster slate and being running away for something. It really makes a big difference. That extra 10 feet.
And you do have to compete with the Angels. I mean, the Angels are going to,
it's not like the other teams are going to put no run. Broncos shoots us to go. Dodgers the next game. The Dodgers here. Are you back? You're in?
I'm back.
I'll go real quickly with the Dodgers. So I actually think that Sheehan, I know a little bit about him, but I probably want to dig a little bit more before I talk too detailed about him. He's definitely an option, without a doubt. but I need to dig a little further before I make that clear. Now, okay, the Dodgers side of it, this is going to be interesting because I like JP France, and I think he's been like really good, like very, very, very solid. He does have the occasional weird, like where you just can't get the ball over the plate. I'm just going to say it. Like, look, the Dodgers may have been terrible lately. Muncy's supposed to be back tonight, which should help. For whatever reason, every time Will Smith or Max Muncy's out of the lineup, they don't hit for weeks. And then those guys come back, and all of a sudden they're scoring 10 runs a game. So assuming Muncy's back especially, I am going to be on the Dodgers tonight. And that would be my preferred pivot to San Diego. I don't think that France is unhittable or untouchable by any means. So I'm going to be playing some Dodgers. They would be for me the best. I think Toronto's the best stack. I think the Dodger, factoring in most rational things, I think your best stack if you were going to play like, I want 25% of a very low end stack in the lottery, I think the Dodgers are your best bet. I really like them.
Yep.
So what do you think? What do you think about the Dodgers?
I'm not really getting to the Dodgers today.
Okay.
But I will root for you. And I might get to them later, but right now, again, I just had I literally just had those three teams. I had the Angels as chalk, which I didn't want to play. Then I had Toronto, San Diego, and Philly. I didn't have to get to the Dodgers, but certainly nothing wrong with them.
Yeah, so
one thing that of all the lineups he's faced so far in his young MLB career, he hasn't faced an offense as good as the Dodgers yet, and I think this is a spot where you could definitely play them. All right, what's that?
No, nothing. Go ahead.
What?
So, do you want to start with the last one?
Yes. So this is the last pitcher that I like as well. So I like Logan Webb. I guess at 10-4, I guess he's going to be. I don't think people are going to play that much of him. I imagine. I mean, Arizona just beats on people. But I do have him listed as a playable option here. So he's going to fill out my pitching pool. So it's going to be Musgrove, Bassett, Bieber, Webb, Giolito, and Bello. And I'm not getting to Davies. I'm sort of might be. I didn't think about San Francisco, but maybe you could talk me into that. I don't know what the weather or whatever it is going to be there, but I do like Webb though.
Yeah, so it's it's typical San Francisco weather, 58 degrees, wind blowing out, but doesn't really make a difference. If it gets in like the 30s, it makes a little more of a difference, but it's like 12, which is actually like a really low wind game for San Francisco. Almost every day you see 20. I think Webb is in play, sort of in the same vein as all these guys, but you're right. Like, do we really want to go pick on Arizona at 10-4? I love Logan Webb. I've been saying for years since I watched him shut my Dodgers down in the playoffs and one of the better pitching performances I've ever watched. It was awesome. I think he's a really good pitcher, and I think Arizona has a really, really good offense that is not fun to try and take pitchers against. 10-4 is a high price. There's a lot of other options on the slate, so he's another guy for me. I am totally on board with the San Francisco stack here. I think this is actually like a really interesting spot to look. Again, you're going to get a late lineup out on us. You're going to get literally 2% ownership on this stack, especially if they release an hour and a half before the game like they did yesterday. I'm into it. The problem is, who do we want to play? Lamont Wade and Yastrzemski are both questionable. Okay, we want to play Jock Peterson probably, but always a pinch hit risk. With the Arizona guys, they'll bring in the lefty. Then there's always the weird thing that the other team want to bring in the lefty to face all these guys who are lefty specialists, or do they want to just face the lefties that are already in the lineup? They usually bring in the lefty. That's the only reason I wouldn't have this stack higher. And so, to sum it up for me, it's my teams are the Toronto, Colorado, and the Dodgers, and San Diego and San Francisco as my fringe teams. And I don't have a pitcher that I feel really confident in. I have a bunch that I feel pretty good about: Bassett, Bieber, Musgrove, Webb, and I'm missing somebody. And then the fringy ones are the Giolito, Bello. but there's certainly, like with pitching, there's certainly some room to take some different shots, because I don't think that anybody is that sure of a thing tonight. And even like Musgrove, who's going to be the most popular, like I think that's also like you have the lowest, when the most popular pitcher is facing the lowest strikeout team in baseball. It's kind of against that handedness. It's kind of tricky. Like it probably means you should be looking at other places. And Shane Bieber, maybe a Bieber Bassett is where I end up for my main build. So that's sort of
if I get settled in time. Again, I'm going out east today. Maybe I'll pipe in live from out east. If not, I won't be able to, obviously. But I'm planning on not being available tonight.
Yeah. Yeah.
But just like, for example, like, so this is what I would do. Like, let's just say I was building today. So today it's interesting. So this is one thing you could do. So let's say I wanted to build again like 50 lineups. I updated the projections, I put them in, and I just ran this. And this is like, again, like people ask how I tweak, what little differences I make. I'll give you a good example of what I'll do today. Okay, so today I'm actually pretty confident with where I want to go pitching wise, and just limit it to those. So the first thing I'll do is I'll just X out everybody else if I get any of them. So like right here, so first of all, let's look at first stack types. I mean, I won't mess with that too much. So I'd be getting a bunch of Toronto, all kinds of Oakland, actually, which I didn't even think about at all.
That's what we talked about. Well, I remember I was saying that.
Oh, yeah, with the Ruiz and all those stolen bases, yeah. Right. Angels, Mets, Boston, Houston, almost no San Diego, and no Philly. Now, again, we're obviously watching the weather, but so then I'll look at the pitchers, and I'll be getting like 11 pitchers. So I would probably, like in a situation like this, like literally just do something like this, like literally X out like all of the pitchers that I said I didn't want to play, and just limit myself to like I'm not playing Emmett.
I don't know about that one.
You know what I mean? Like, so
I might be playing him in my biggest buy in. I don't know yet for sure.
Who, Emmett Sheehan?
Yeah,
he's good.
Yeah. Well, there's hype on him. Like I said, I'll look more into that one later. But I don't think he's going to be off the board either. Like, I mean, I think he's going to be like 10% owned. Like,
so what I might do, like, let's say I didn't know about him, whatever. So then I would like X out everybody. I just limit it to these 6 pitchers, for example. And then again, the other thing I would do is go back into players and go min unique 2, just because again, I want to be a little less risky. And then I might just run them just like this. You know, that would not be for my big buy-ins, you know, but that would be for my little guys. And this would give me mostly Toronto and then Houston Angels. And then what I would do is just literally manually upgrade some of these teams I wanted to play. Like I like San Diego, so maybe I'll just make them 20 or something like that, or 25. And I'll just kind of run with it. And I found that that's just been successful for me. You're really good at like hand building and whittling them down. I just don't come up with good lineups that way. You're just better at it.
Well, I mean, yeah, I used to be better at it. Lately, it hasn't been so good. Although yesterday I had a nice one that almost had a chance to win the big one.
Yeah. All right, dude. I will see. If I don't see you at 6, I'll probably pop in at some point. But
okay. All right, buddy.
You'll hear from me over the weekend.
All right, sounds good, man. Have a great time out there in the Hamptons. Say hi to the fam, and good luck tonight. Hopefully you can. Hopefully, I don't know if it can be a springboard, but maybe it's a springboard for someone else, and then maybe you win another one or whatever.
Dude, I'll trade it all in for the MMA thing tomorrow if I can win.
Absolutely, that'll work. All right, good luck, everybody. Good luck, Sheets.